Hey everyone, welcome to Behind the Art. I'm super excited for today's episode. I'm excited for all of them, but I especially am really happy to have you on, Snowfro, because I feel like we have been in the same communities for a long time. You longer in some of them than me for sure, but I've just seen you around so much, and you have launched this crazy madness this year. So I'm excited to just dig into all of that and have you on.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm so flattered to be on here. Hi, everybody.
Yes. Also, there's a lot of people waiting in here, which is awesome. In the chat, hey Lander, hey Alex Supke, Brian Brinkman, Loren Bednar, Chris DeRubio, Wrong Bedroom, Gerard Barisle. Sorry if I said your name wrong. But it's awesome to have all of you guys already in the chat. Peter, only toasted. We love having you here. If you guys have any questions, as you know, along the way with the stream, just pop them in the chat and we'll ask everything live. And yeah, that you guys typically know how this goes. But I guess to get started, I have these little icebreaker questions that I ask that really have nothing to do with NFTs. So we'll start there, and then I'll go into a really short ad, and then we'll just get into everything having to do with you and behind your art and
All right.
platform. Okay, so first question is, if you could be on any reality TV show, what would it be?
Oh, man. That's a good one. I don't watch a lot of reality TV, but my wife loves The Real Housewives, and I think I'd love to be on The Real Housewives if I
Okay.
had to be on any one of them.
And
I
would
think
your
that's
wife
fun.
want to be on it too? You think you guys would be a good couple for that show?
Oh, no. I'd have to be some kind of accessory somehow. Someone that
Okay.
gets a smirk in the background and be like, what the hell is going on?
Okay,
That's
that's
what
a
I
good
do when
one.
I'm watching the show.
Oh, so you do watch it with her?
Yeah, of course. I try to,
Okay.
try to enjoy some time.
Okay. Okay. If you were left on a deserted island with either your worst enemy or no one, which would you choose and why?
Oh, I'd have to go with my worst enemy for sure. Maybe we could work stuff out.
Okay. Just to rather than being lonely forever, you think it's a better option?
I think I think being alone forever would be really tough. Yeah.
That's fair. That's
Worst
fair.
enemy. How about you? I want to know.
Yes, I'd go with my worst enemy as well, and I'm not gonna forget the first time I asked this because I change the questions every season. Someone in the comments said, "Take your worst enemy, and in case you get hungry, you have a meal." So I thought that was hilarious. So I'm like, yeah, sure, take my worst enemy, and who knows what'll happen after that. Um, just kidding. I don't approve cannibalism. But what was your favorite piece of, or what is your favorite piece of art that you own? So it could be physical, it could be digital.
Man, oh, that's a really good question. I have so much amazing art. I think I can go get it. Can I go get it?
Yeah, for sure. Go for it. Renee, I would love for Snowfro to throw a glass of wine in my face. What?
What?
Am I missing something? Are you talking about if he was a real housewife?
Oh yeah, or a boot or like a prosthetic leg, because that's why I watch it because of those episodes. So this is probably one of my
That's a cool
favorite pieces of art
piece.
of all time. It's a friend of mine. His name is Carlos, and he's an architect and he's a screen printer. And I've been collecting his screen prints for a long, long time.
Cool.
And a couple years ago, he made a sorry for the weird projector thing. He made
No.
a one of one, which I think is kind of crazy, right? That you would go through the process of like screen printing, like making the screens,
Yeah. Which is a
printing, and
long process. Yeah.
throwing throwing them away right after that. And so obviously the colors are just like the perfect colors.
And that
Um,
is the one of one he made.
that is the one of one. I haven't taken it
That's
down for
so
fear of
cool.
hurting it. So yeah, that was a treat.
Wow, that's so cool. And what is the artist name?
His name is Carlos Pozo,
Okay.
and he's a local he's a good friend, but also like a local architect and screen printer. And
Wow, that's a really cool piece. I like the you also did a good job getting it framed because sometimes I see pieces that are framed and then afterwards I'm like, hmm. But I think it
he,
complements it.
he gets the credit for that.
Okay.
He even took out the glass because he didn't want the glare in there, and I agree with it.
That's a cool piece. Also, is the piece so behind you? That's just being projected behind you because it looks like it's actually on your wall behind you.
Yeah, no. So it's this is I set this behind me because I'm always looking for an opportunity to show it off because it's in my
Yeah.
house. It's been up here since COVID, so nobody has really gotten to see it except for my family. But it's a
Cool.
projection map piece, and it's actually kind of the beginning of my personal creative coding journey. Started with projection mapping. And what you're looking at now is a Raspberry Pi, which is a small computer, projecting a website that has a bunch of triangles on it, and you drag the little triangles onto the three-dimensional objects, and then you press go, and it starts just kind of rotating like a rainbow. And it's something that I've been
Wow.
working on I guess I'm on my 7th year of tinkering with this kind of weird projection map stuff. Um, it's a big inspiration for Artblocks, or part of it, and I can kind of get into that a little bit more later. But yeah, it's my baby.
That's awesome. I can't wait to unfold all of this because I know we have a lot. Um, Diego, I think your answer or question was just answered, but let me know if it wasn't. This is so I don't know. I'm just excited about everything we have to talk about. I want to first really quick just get it out of the way, do like a 40-second ad, and we'll be right back. But there's a lot to unpack here. I'm just gonna pull up a quick screen. You guys know last month my sponsor was Whale Street, which they are also the sponsor for this month too, but they're talking about something a little bit different. You guys probably know B20. MetaPurse is the group that our collector that decided to actually purchase all the B20 pieces and put them in a bundle and then sell B20 tokens and sort of fractionalize the ownership amongst the 30 or the 21 of one pieces. So definitely check out their site. It's interesting because I think they initially started selling the coins at 37 cents and now they're probably around $10 a coin, which is a huge increase from when they launched. And then, of course, Beeple is having a massive Christie's auction that's still going on. Probably, I think it's up to like 3 million at this point, which is pretty nuts. And their first standalone NFT sale, because I know they have had a bundle previously with Robert Alice. So definitely check this stuff out. Check out B20 if you're interested, and definitely join their Discords and everything, which I have linked in the comment box below. And go to their chat to ask them any questions if you need to. Cool. Okay, so to just get right into this, I always like to think of how I first met someone in the space. And with you, I remember seeing you in the CryptoPunks chat a long time ago. And you were just always so kind. And I saw that you were doing really, really cool stuff. For example, when Autoglyphs came out, you started creating, and I don't even know what this machine is called, but you were creating these like, what is the machine called? I don't want to sound crazy.
It's called an Axie Draw.
Okay.
It's a plotter. It's one of many nerd toys in my household.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, the way that Larva Labs demonstrated the autoglyphs, like kind of like one of the intended purposes or one of the intended executions of an autoglyph is by using that same tool.
Okay.
And it's just you put a pen on it, and it draws lines wherever you tell it to draw lines. And in this case, autoglyphs are saved as an SVG, so you import it into the software and you make it draw, and it's pretty great.
That was so cool because I said you like I feel like every interaction that I've had with you and seen with you, you've been such a core part of these communities, and you've always brought like this added extra layer of taking things a step further and becoming like making the community better, which I think is so cool. And I feel like you're really known for that, and you've just always been like this genuine person who's like in these projects for the right, not that there's a right or wrong reason, but for cool, like the fundamental reasons, and then you bring value to them as well, which I think is so cool and I respect a lot. And I mean, just to I guess jump right into it, how did you venture into finding, crypto and NFTs and all of this stuff? If you want to give us a little bit of your background.
And I mean, my friends will tell you that there was this New Year's Eve party in December 31st, 2016, and had like 0.7 Bitcoin from just kind of tinkering the week before, and I just kind of had this obsession with getting a whole Bitcoin before 2017 started. And of course, it was New Year's, so I got pretty drunk, and so all I talked about from then until now is crypto. Like I kind of dove in and I just thought, I just think it's this like crazy, amazing, futuristic thing that we're experiencing. And so, uh, that happened. Like I ended up, I think like in the middle of the party, I ended up like buying the last 0.3 Bitcoin and saying, screw it.
That's awesome.
I have the money in the bank account to do it. And then obviously 2017 was just like this crazy, crazy roller coaster ride, right? Like I remember at least once every other day, I was like screenshotting the Blockfolio thing and sending it to my wife and being like, is this real? Like what? And what got me into smart contracts was, obviously like I bought a little bit of Bitcoin, then I bought a little bit of Ethereum. I got into smart contracts and it blew my mind. And to this day, it blows my mind. It also blows my mind how I think that, I think maybe 80% of the people in the space, like buying and collecting NFTs, still actually don't truly even understand what a smart contract does. Like
more than 80.
Maybe more than 80. And so it blows my mind what the technology does. It blows my mind that people get excited about it and still don't even realize like how powerful it is. And so it blows my mind even more to think what would happen when, like, let's say 90% of the people one day actually dive in, figure out like the insanity of what a smart contract is, and then realize that all these concerns that they've had over the last few years over, like the viability of this or kind of go out the window. Like to me, there was just never a question of when, of if. I literally thought it was like a when. So my first thing that I ever did with a smart contract, my best friend had a kid, and it's hard to find people things to gift them these days. Like we're a little bit older, and I feel like people just have everything that they need these days. So I actually wrote a really simple smart contract that locked 10 ETH, which at the time ETH was $10, right? So it wasn't totally reckless. For however many million seconds, was to his daughter's 18th birthday.
Cool.
So there's a contract out there right now that's still locked for another 14 or 13 years.
Wow.
And it was just like I was like, it's either gonna be worth like a pack of gum or it's gonna be worth a house. Like it's not nowhere in the middle. Like it's, to me, I felt like it's just, maybe it's a little reckless. Like maybe Ethereum changes and so that ETH gets lost between now and then. Maybe they run into financial hardships and they need money and the ETH can't be touched. But that exercise for me was just massive. And like, so I did that, and I was like, man, I feel like people need to be able to do this. And then I was like, I can't wait to pay my kids, what's it called?
Tuition?
No, the weekly thing when they get older.
The weekly tutoring? What do you mean?
Allowance.
Oh, allowance.
Like I want to make my kids claim their allowance. Like
I didn't get allowance, clearly. I couldn't think of that.
Yeah. I was like, I want to make my kids claim their allowance, like on Ethereum, But at this point, I had a 6-month-old or something, like or maybe like a 1 year. Like I was really kind of getting a little thinking a little far ahead. But yeah, no, I tinker with smart contracts. I in my life collected a bunch of stuff. I collected comics. I collected comic cards. I collected playing cards from every city that I went to in the world. Just like I like to collect stuff, and it did dawn on me that Ethereum could somehow create. Obviously the concept of an NFT itself, like I couldn't put it in a package, but the idea that you could have this non-fungible thing kind of started coming in conversation, like the crazy conversations with my friends where they were still just kind of bearing with my craziness. And then the CryptoPunks launched, and I was like, oh shit, like this is it. Like someone's doing it, and it's not just like someone's doing this half-assed thing. Like this is a genius example of generative art, like 10,000 unique characters in a 24 by 24 pixel grid. Like, it's great art. It's an amazing proof of concept. And obviously this is before ERC 721 even existed as a standard. And to me that solidified it. And I was like, this is just going to be so massive. So I claimed a lot of CryptoPunks. I claimed 35 CryptoPunks. Wow. I claimed 34 zombies and one punk that I thought that looks like my wife, but she doesn't necessarily agree with me. But it has big shades, and she does like to wear big shades pretty often. And I spent 6 hours like syncing my Ethereum wallet because back then there was no MetaMask and there was no easy way to do it. Um, and yeah, claim some punks. It was like the biggest thrill ever, like to get these like kind of at the time worthless little cartoon characters.
Yeah.
But that solidified it. That to me was like, okay, this is gonna be major. And I joined Discord right after that, and I have been on Discord in the CryptoPunks channel
Ever
every
since.
single day since then. And I feel a little guilty just because with Artblocks lately, like it's like this, a dream for me would have been to become a mod in the CryptoPunks Discord, right? And then like I launched Artblocks, and then they made me a mod, and I was like, this is awesome. And then like a week later, I'm like drowning in my own thing, and so I still get to check in there every now and then. It's like I still think it's like one of the best Discords of all time.
Definitely. There's a new message there like literally every 10 seconds.
Oh
Someone
yeah.
was like, how do I get notifications for CryptoPunks chat? And people were like, do you actually want notifications for CryptoPunks chat?
Yeah, so I actually had them for for 3 years or however long it's been. And I remember Carliniate, a few, like maybe in September, I was just mentioning, I was like, yeah, no, I mean, I follow a lot of Discords, but I mute all of them. Like the CryptoPunks Discord has never been muted. And I was like, yeah, no, I get every message. And he was like, what do you mean you get every message? And I was like, no, I get every notification. But up until June of last year, it was not that big of a deal. Like maybe there would be like some conversations that would last a couple hours, and then nobody would talk for like a day and a half. So it wasn't that like totally chaotic. But as a result of that, like I got to be there for every crazy moment that happened in that Discord. And I know it sounds super nerdy, but I think that that those 3.5 years, there like some pretty historical things happened.
Totally.
Like a lot of things were born in there. A lot of ideas were born in there. A lot of people kind of got together and met there, and went off to create amazing things. So yeah, I think it's a pretty great place.
It's not nerdy at all. In fact, there's a lot of people that have gotten to CryptoPunks obviously in this recent like heat wave. I don't even know what it is, and they wish that they've been in the chat much longer than they have, right? So it's really interesting to go there, and there's such a tight knit community of people. It's by far one of the most active but also like valuable chats in Discord, in my opinion. And you can directly. It's so interesting because like the founders of Larva Labs and CryptoPunks and Auto, like they're not even in the chat unless like absolutely needed and something comes up. It's like purely community run, which I think is so
100%.
cool.
And they didn't even need mods until like these Uniswap,
Yeah.
scams. They really didn't even need it. Like we were kind of the mods in the Discord, and it was great. It's like you would get the same questions all the time, and one of us would take turns kind of cynically asking, like people would be like, well, I can just right click save, and it's like we would all get to take turns with those, and have a good time kind of replying to them and be like, okay man, sure. Like, and it wasn't until I guess the right click save conversation will be ongoing forever. But I think what really kind of cemented the the concept to me was G Money posting his ape sale and somebody calling it a digital Lamborghini. It's like digital Lambo, like for 2017, all the tokens, it was always just like one Lambo, and it actually kind of blew my mind. Like it is now, like I've never really been a Lamborghini person. Like if I could afford one, I would buy a Ferrari without thinking. But we'll still use Lambo as
the symbol
reference. But it hit me pretty hard at that point. Like people started paying real money for these things, and real money that's worth more than Lamborghinis, and the value of like having that as your avatar and actually being your real punk, like that it exceeded. It was like the value in 2021 in COVID when nobody can go out. Like this is literally the next best thing to a Lamborghini, right? And I think we'll all come out of this and not even care so much about the Lamborghinis anymore, and like should be more interested in, because these things don't require maintenance. That you don't have to worry about. You can
trade them on a 24/7 global marketplace. Like I mean, there's wild. A lot of things. And can you believe, like, first of all, there's just so many things that are mind blowing in this situation, but not that long ago, punks were selling for like 50, 80, $100. Like really not that long ago.
Oh yeah. So I've gifted 15 CryptoPunks over the course of the last 3.5 years, and it's pretty crazy that like in the last, I would update my friends and be like, "Hey, your punk is now worth $50. Hey, your punk is now worth $100. Hey, your punk is now worth like $300. No way. Yeah, yeah, your punk is worth $300. Hey, your punk is now worth $1,000. Hey, your punk is now worth $4,000. Hey, your punk is now worth
Yeah.
$35,000. So, like, in a 2 day period, I guess it was 2 weeks ago, five of the people that I gave punks to, like, I was like, look, guys, like, I
It's
am
life
not selling
changing for
anything
people.
right now. I
Yeah.
mean, I have too many zombies, right? And I also got stuck with a bunch of, you know, um, it was not a great situation in 2018 when I didn't sell anything and I saw like a massive fortune go down to like
Hmm.
$20,000. So I was like, look, it's like you could do you. I will keep my punks forever, but this is 30 something $1,000, right? So I walked five people like back to back over 2 days through the process of selling it, and you can just sense in their mind they're like, yeah, this isn't gonna happen. Like this isn't real. Like
Yeah.
whatever. And then all of a sudden, like, and what was happening, the market was so crazy that like they would list it, and I'd look away, and then you'd hear them be like, it's sold, and I'd be like, wow, like, and 30 whatever $1,000 like immediately
Oh
entered
yeah.
our life. And it's yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. So my dad won a CryptoPunk in a white elephant like exchange
Cool.
in my office. One of my employees, so my dad got the $20 bill, and the employee got the CryptoPunk, and the employee was like, "Give me the $20," and
It's like the best
ended up
trade your
for
dad's ever made.
yeah. And I just remember thinking like, "You are such an idiot, dude." Like, I mean, I would never say that
Yeah.
to my like I was like, you literally like, and who knows, you might not even have it today, right? And my dad's sold for like 40 something. I mean, it was a pretty good one. It was a purple hat, so obviously
Okay.
like purple hat's a good kind
Yeah.
of in high demand lately. And
Yep.
yeah, he sold it for 40 something grand. My dad, I mean, he could really use the cash too, and like he was just blown away. So it's been really fun to watch. It's been crazy to see. I hope that this wave isn't too crushing. Like if, for example, if it slows down a little bit, like I feel like people are going to be really bummed about it. Um, and people like me will be sitting there waiting to buy whatever
Yep.
people get bummed about, because there's no way this is stopping here. Every single day, a new celebrity is reaching out either
Yep.
to me because they're interested in like Artblocks, or like I see them with a punk avatar, or I see them, buying NFTs. Like this is just the beginning. And so while I feel like it's a little hot right now, and you might see a little bit of a dip, I think that owning a punk right now is gonna, like, owning a punk in 5 years is gonna be one of the coolest things that a human being on the planet can own. And yeah,
Yeah. No, I'm totally in agreement with you. And the interesting thing is like right now it's easy to say because they are worth so much, but in the beginning, even like when I got my first punk, I actually really liked my first punk because I tried to get one that all of my punks I got just for aesthetic reasons. I'm like
yeah,
I'm getting them because I want them and because I like them. But I never. It took a while for the art to grow on me. I didn't necessarily like love it at first, but now for everyone, because of like the numbers, they're like, this is the coolest thing ever. Or maybe some people liked the art initially, but it's grown on me so much that it is such a special thing that now when I'm seeing all of these other things like pop up that are literal or like side clones of it, I'm like, that's a little bit of a bummer because like it's done so well. But I get it, and I see that happening a lot, especially when the space is this crazy. But it does remind me so much of like the ICO craze, and like you can make money, get into any ICO, and you will make money from it if you sell at the right time, and if not, your money will go to nothing, right? So it's interesting like to see that again. It does feel a little bit different from that time to me this time because like you said, like the celebrities all getting in, but then also like all of the institutions also getting in is
oh,
kind
yeah,
of interesting. But I hear everything, right? I hear like there's going to be one more big wave and then the bubble is going to pop. There's going to be you know, all these things. It's hard for me to speculate. I try not to, but
It's hard. I
it's
mean,
interesting.
in the end, you can hang your punk on your wall,
Mm-hmm.
right? And like you can't hang your strat token. Well, I guess that's not a project that's totally disappeared, but like, from 2017, like
Yeah.
you can't hang those things on your wall without like cringing, right? And
Yeah.
so, I feel like I to this day I tell people like when there's like clones of punks and stuff like that, and I claim the punks because I thought they looked good too, right? Like I don't,
Mm-hmm.
I as crazy as it sounds, like I had to sync the blockchain in a hurry, probably neglecting my 1-year-old child and family for 6 hours, like trying to figure out why it took forever to sync, whatever it might be. And there wasn't there's at that time in 2017 things were going really well in crypto in general. There wasn't enough time in the day to like waste your time on something, even just because it was like I don't know, like it was just so new. Like I see the 10,000 punk image with 10,000 unique 24 by 24 pixel like compelling pieces as
Mm-hmm.
a genius work of art.
Yeah.
It could also be a game sprite maker
Yeah.
for all that matters, but like and maybe they did it and pressed a button and it happened. I don't know, but to me, the variety and the personality that you can pack into that small amount of pixels in that high of an addition is mind blowing. So yeah, I think from the very beginning, I think it's great. I also think that I've seen people like you said, like at first it's like and then they grow on you because they
Mm-hmm.
do have your personality. Like my my zombie is my avatar like that. I see myself typing as that, right? And
Yeah.
like I
Yeah.
have a reality check that like I don't actually look like that.
No,
So,
totally. Or even like I painted one in one of my pieces, Tune In, a while ago, and
I
like
remember, yeah.
once I painted that one in a piece, I was like, whoa. Like that made it real for me, and I was like, I want more of these. I want one that like I want them in couples. Like I want to buy a guy and a girl that look good together. Like I got
Yeah.
into this whole thing, right? So it's interesting to see people's journey with it for sure. I guess to transition a little, I want to ask you what was so you're in this punk community. I mean, I can tell by everything that you're saying, like why you're in this and like what your intentions are. And it's really just cool to hear firsthand. But what was that point where you decided you wanted to bring something to the community and you wanted to create your own project?
Well, first of all, I will admit that 80% of the reason that I was in the punk community for that long on the Discord is because I wanted an alien. And I thought that like somebody was going to be stupid and like list one for something that I could afford. And if I wasn't there and I woke up the next day and it happened while I was asleep, I would literally like
Lose
be
it.
really upset. Like not even like jokingly upset. Like it would make me so angry. And because I have this collector mentality that like I have one of every attribute of a punk, right? And I have
Mm-hmm.
my monkeys and I have my apes and it was a beast to collect that. Like in
Oh yeah.
2019 when punks were still just like 50, 100, $150, like I took money uh, from my personal, like in crypto it's so easy to like play with magic
Yeah.
internet money. Like I
Yep.
actually 2 times in crypto I have taken money out of like my account, potentially my line of credit, to
Wow.
purchase NFTs. And one of them was in 2019. It was right after NYC NFT NYC. I was like, I want one of every punk.
Wow.
And it was tough because I didn't think a lot of people were collecting back then. And I was like, if it's obvious that so I created all these other accounts to buy them with so that people didn't catch on. Like, wait a minute, like someone's trying to like collect these and there's not that many. And like three of them, no, two of them at least weren't even for sale. Like I remember there
Right.
was no details for sale and there was no choker for sale at that time. And I think I made an offer on a dev punk and like they accepted it. Like, it blew my mind. I think all I had left was like an orange side. Anyway, so that happened, and then I was like, okay, now I just need the alien, and then like the reality set in. That's like I will probably never own an alien, right?
Yeah.
And a month ago, I'm really lucky to belong to this group called the Flamingo DAO,
Yep.
which kind of as an aside, but they've changed my they've changed my life. Like I've been watching DAOs over the years. I remember when Pre first reached out, and she's like, "Hey, we want to talk to you. We're a DAO," and my first response was like, "Well, you know, I don't know how I feel about DAOs." Like, I've seen so many platforms get crushed because of the speculative component of like governance, you know, and
Yep.
it's so gross. Like, it's just like, you know, so you know, they reached out, and then I eventually, you know, they told me they bought a bunch of squiggles, and I was like, okay, like that's cool. Like they were like, we're really into squiggles, and I'm like, I mean, at this point, the platform was just getting started. Like it was very flattering. It was, you know, I was like, man. So I joined the Flamingo DAO, and those people are just, it's amazing. It's like a totally different conversation than what I've had in the past. And shortly after I joined that group, like there was this conversation when the aliens kind of were starting to move around, and there was this opportunity that came about where like everybody in the DAO started talking about putting together some ETH to buy this alien, and I was like, oh my god! And I remember I was on the phone with a friend of mine. My kid was screaming, and I transferred 170 ETH, like just like while I was on the, like normally like I check like the first 5 digits, last, like for to send one ETH, right? Like, and
Right.
but we had to pool all this money together to like make this purchase, and we did it. Like we ended up with an alien, and it literally kind of took this huge stress off my life. Like I actually became a less stressful person knowing that
That's
even though I had a
crazy.
small part of it, I now had this alien. Because there is a certain level of OCD, I think, involved in NFTs. I think that there's a certain level of OCD in collecting. I think there's a certain level of OCD in like, you know, the fact that they don't get damaged, the fact that they don't take up space, because I feel like my life is full of clutter and full of whatever. And the fact that I have this like collection was really important to me, you know. So I got this alien with the DAO. That was pretty awesome, and everyone in there. I mean, we were
Whose
cheering
alien
them.
was it?
It's the one that's the citizen number. It's the one with the purple hat.
No, but I
So
mean, whose was it? Was it
oh,
this
it was
one's?
so user Seth S, which probably is one of the smartest people in the world, was picking off these aliens like a few months after CryptoPunk's launched for like 10 ETH. I think one was 80 ETH and one was like 10 ETH, which at the time was an insane amount of money,
Yeah.
right? $10,000 still back then for a CryptoPunk
Right.
was just like whoa. Um, and it, you know, I remember seeing those sales and being like, damn it, like, well, I didn't have that kind of money sitting around anyways, you know. So like, I remember seeing those and missing them, and then thinking like, I'm never going to see them again.
Yeah.
And in fact, we didn't for a really long time. So yeah, so Seth sold that one. Things escalated really quick. Like some bids were placed on other ones. You know, I think right now there's bids in like a couple $1 million for an alien, and they're not accepted, which is a real testament to like the real value of these things. Like when
Oh
you're
yeah.
offered $5 million for like a cartoon, and you're like, nope, not interested. Like that's,
I
you
have
know,
to read this out. Sean L in the chat. I can't verify this, but maybe you can. Tell Snow he and Flamingo better be treating my alien well, stray bits. And he said I sold it to Seth. So he
oh yeah,
apparently was the one who sold it to Seth. You
yeah.
crazy, crazy guy.
So the story goes back even further because you've got this dude that's on a like on a hiking trip or something, and like is listing these things when he gets served. I mean, I might be butchering this story because it's been a while. Because I can't remember if the guy that was on the camping trip, which would have been Stray Bits, is the one that was selling them or buying. But anyway, so yeah, he'd like go down, get service, list a punk, and then like come back and it would sell. But it'd be an
That's
alien for
crazy.
10 ETH for like, you know, $10,000. And I'm sure, I mean, look, I sold a zombie in September of last year for $12,500, and I felt like Al Pacino. Like I was like, holy crap, I just sold a zombie for $12,500. And today they're like $500,000, right? Like,
Yeah.
so, you know,
How many zombies did you sell? Just one?
no. So, well, I started with 34. I burned one on accident.
Oh,
And yeah,
transferring it?
only dude. Yeah. And the rest of them I sold at the very beginning of Artblocks. So like, I started working on Artblocks in like well, I started thinking through it in 2017, and then in 2018 I decided that I wanted to. I mean, Artblocks originally started as like its own blockchain. Like I was going to create it like a proof of stake blockchain with like master nodes, and like the master nodes were going to generate art, and it was just like this. I have a Medium article like describing it as like its own blockchain, which is pretty stupid now that I look at it, but whatever. But yeah, the 2018, I met these really cool dudes in Manchester. I went to CoinFest in the UK.
Mhm.
And I met these guys, James and Andy. They run a company called Block Rocket Tech, and they helped found Known Origin. And I actually went to like this gallery exhibition that they did, like a real human in-person exhibition
Yep.
in Manchester with all of the Known Origin pieces like displayed like a gallery. Got a piece there. One of my, I mean, probably my first NFT other than a CryptoKitty, right? And yeah, like I paid for them to help me kind of develop Artblocks in 2018 by selling Cryptopunk zombies. So I sold 15 zombies for about $15,000.
Wow. Holy
Uh,
fuck.
it was rough. Like I remember telling them, and I've said this to a couple of people, so I might be repeating myself, but like I know that if I listed it, I could get $500 for it, but like their bill was due, and I'm not one to kind of make people like wait for their money, and so I know that I could like accept an offer for $200, right? And I would go to them and I'd be like, guys, like I'm about to give this guy this zombie for $200, and it's really worth more than that. Like this is historical stuff. I would rather you buy it for $200 than they buy it for $200. And they're like, dude, we just need our money, you know. And I get, of course, like
Wow.
you know, they're
Yeah.
professionals, they're developers, like they just
Yeah.
they need to make money. Like it obviously didn't make sense for that to happen, but it killed me. I dumped, I guess at the time, zombies for $200. But I also developed Artblocks version 1, version 2, and even part of version 3 using those zombie sales. And I don't know that I was in a position financially in my life. Obviously 2018, like crypto took such a big hit. Like I didn't have money to just throw around to have gotten as far with Artblocks as I did back then. And I think if I hadn't have gotten as far as I did back then, it wouldn't be here today. So you know, it was
Totally.
probably a good cause.
I think that's such a good way to look at it, and I just want to like applaud you for that because I do see a lot of people like kicking themselves like, oh, if only I would have held this for this long, or if, oh, what if I would have done this? Like, you cannot relive the past. Like, and knowing for you, yeah, knowing that you were able to do something to like excel yourself later on or use that money for something great, like that is awesome. Like, sure, maybe it stings a little, but like you got to get over it, right? Like, so I think that's a really good way of you looking at it and even saying like I wouldn't have been this far with what I'm doing if I didn't do that, you know?
So many things had to fall into place.
Mhm.
The craziest thing about this is that there would be no Artblocks if it wasn't for COVID. Like
Yeah,
there just
wow.
it would not have actually happened because of COVID, I found myself with 3 extra hours a day. I have 2 small kids, you know. I own a business, a full-time job with 15 employees, and I started it 16 years ago. So, you know, I've got plenty of stuff to do during the
Yeah.
day, plenty of stuff to do at night. And, you know, I'd go to the gym in the morning. And so basically, if I wasn't in bed by 11, I wouldn't be able to wake up by 6 to go to the gym, or maybe I'd go to bed at midnight, wake up at 6, go to the gym. Like there was just no extra time
Yeah.
in my life. And because of COVID, I found myself with literally 3 extra hours, no traffic, no gym, which is terrible because I haven't worked out since COVID. So like I need to step up my health, I think a little bit. And it gave me the time to like, I'm not a programmer. Like I've dabbled, you know, I made
Mhm.
that smart contract in 2017, but like I'm not a developer. The Block Rocket Tech guys would probably share stories of my sheer ignorance, like with the questions that I would ask them when we were talking about development and stuff like that. But I got on Codecademy, which is
Yep.
just a website to teach people how to code. I learned React, I learned JavaScript, I learned Node, JS. I knew enough Solidity just from like tinkering with the contracts. And I started with the Artblocks version 3 contract. I totally redid most of it just because I wanted to modify it to what Artblocks is today. And as a result of COVID, like I was able to spend enough time to make this thing happen, which is insane. You know, where life takes us. Like COVID sucks.
Absolutely.
It's been terrible for so many people. For you know, like we've been relatively lucky with the people that we're surrounded by, but the indirect result was pretty fantastic.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think there are like I said, there are highlights that you can get out of every situation, and you're doing it again for COVID, which is great. There were some comments that I want to make sure that I'm not just forgetting. Neurobody said you have to talk about MR703, which that's when we were talking about punks and everything. I don't know. Did you have like a specific interaction with buying or selling to them that was?
All I could say about MR703 is the like the sensation that Mr. 703 created in CryptoPunks was insane. I mean, I had people in my private messages, I had people talking about it, and Flamingo people were talking about it in the CryptoPunks channel. This man shook up, some shit, and it's like some people were taking ownership of it, and like maybe not everybody got to know who was really Mr. 703, and there wasn't a lot of direct contact, and there was talk about like brokering punks and like releasing them to the community. And man, yeah, that was a pretty hectic time. And then like right in the middle of that, the developers, the Larva Lab guys, started also considering moving some punks, which is also kind of like epic, right? So I think they're down to less than 600 from having that like staple 1,000 for such a long time. It's actually remarkable that maybe like 1,000 punks later, like in an instant dump, for lack of a better word, like coming onto the market, the price is still quadruple what it was before that. Because that was the big fear for everyone, was like, okay, now all these punks are going to hit the market and everything's going to crash. I'm like, so the price of punks will go from 6 to 4. Like, who cares? This has been going on for so long. Like, what's the big deal? But instead, a serious amount of them ended up in the hands of the Flamingo DAO. And again, like those people in that Discord are my heroes. Like they've given me so much more hope for crypto than I had before I met them. So they kind of worked some deals to get some of those, and then the rest of them are going to be raffled off, and I think that's going to be really fun to watch and kind of see what happens. Just like watching the arbitrage between the ticket and the punk over the last few weeks has been kind of interesting and fun. But yeah, Mr. 703 kind of sparked a pandemonium in the punk world, I have to say.
Yes, definitely. That's what people were talking about. And also, Alexis Andre said, "Hold on, Artblocks." When you were just talking about them, and someone said, Borodin said, "This is why I don't sell my Artblocks." I want to get into Artblocks because there's so much to talk about there. And I know we just started scratching the surface, but I want you to you taught yourself to code, and you built this. For how long did it take you? I know you were saying you did it a lot over COVID. Did you start before then? Was it this past year? Like, give us a little bit of that.
Yeah. So okay. So obviously, well, I'll tell you where the idea came from, and because we've been talking about CryptoPunks, because it's literally, I'd say the word CryptoPunks or punk is probably like my top 10 words in my last 4 years of my life, which is pretty absurd. When I was claiming my punks and I was able to claim 34 zombies, I felt like I was being really selfish, right? Like I read the thing and it said, there's 9 aliens and one of them with a pipe in its mouth. And, I knew that was going to be the one, like the alien to have. And then it talked about these 24 apes, and there was only one ape left when I started syncing my wallet, and that ape was gone when I finished syncing my wallet. I was really pissed about that. And then I cleaned 34 zombies, and I was like, this isn't really fair. I mean, I also know that this is the internet I was going to be up against, and if I didn't do it, somebody else was going to do it. Like a lot of people have come onto the Punks chat in the last few years and been like, oh yeah, I claimed 10, but I wanted to leave some for everybody else. And I was like, you are a gem of a human being. I feel like I'm a relatively good human being, but
you gifted 15 punks. That's a good human being.
Yeah, I mean, I claimed them. I definitely snagged like every last zombie that I could get my hands. I remember just like as if it was yesterday. I remember scanning the image for green. You know what I mean? Like that's it. And as I'm claiming them, and obviously I had already created that smart contract for my buddy, and so I understood kind of just the basics of smart contracts enough then. And I was like, there's no reason with Ethereum and with all this decentralized everything that instead of me getting to greedily pick a zombie, I wouldn't be able to click a button that said claim, and it would present me with a random punk.
Right.
Like there was no reason for it. I mean, obviously, like they were innovating, they were blowing everybody's mind just even putting that together, right? But as I'm clicking it, I'm like, why do I get all these zombies? Which at that time I thought, man, if I sold them for $50, that would be crazy. I just spent 35 cents on these things, right? Like, so even back then, the concept of it being over $100 was just still kind of like, but there was probably only like 100 people in Ethereum at the time, or I mean, of course there were more, but like that were even interested in discussing or looking at these punks or syncing their wallet or whatever. So it wasn't like that was that much in the end. Still, 100 punks for each of us if you look at it that way. So yeah, so that's kind of where the idea first came up for Artblocks, and everything that Artblocks stands for today. If you go back to that moment of, the CryptoPunks are a work of generative art. Um, if you think that because it's a 8-bit character you can't call it art because people have this image of them in their mind of what art is, I get that. Like, I respect that. A lot of people played enough video games where they see it as like a character, like a sprite. And Larva Labs is known for creating 8-bit video games, right? So it's right up their alley. But like, to me, that project is 10,000 unique versions of generative art, like iterations of generative art. And since that moment, like, I felt like Ethereum was the perfect use case for the concept of generative art. Like, it encapsulated the immutability of it, encapsulated the randomization of it. It just it was perfect. So that's where the idea came from. When I was doing version 1, version 2, version 3 with the developers, I remember just getting so frustrated because I was putting money into something that I didn't necessarily think. I mean, obviously, like, the developers understood what I wanted, but I don't think that they necessarily agreed with me putting money into this, because I feel like they didn't necessarily agree that this was like a viable thing. And I think that version 1, 2, 3 wasn't viable. I'll be the first to admit it was like really esoteric. I mean, imagine right now, you've got a platform where if I just meet a generative artist and they have something in JavaScript, they can participate on the platform. Back then, I didn't have a front end. There was no website. It was literally like I spent those years developing a smart contract, and a smart contract without front end is completely useless. Like, it's not useless.
Yeah.
It's pretty much useless, especially back then when nobody even understood how to like interact with a smart contract. Right now, you can go to Etherscan and interact with a smart contract. So over the course of those years, I eventually felt that no matter how much money I dumped into giving somebody else my vision and trying to get them to create that vision, it was never going to be the same as if I did it myself. And I actually lost faith in Artblocks because I thought like I would just never be able to do it myself. Because I look back now at the complexity of the framework that is, and to most developers, they probably think it's like not very complex because obviously it took me many, many, many hours to do it, and they would probably do it in like 10 hours, whatever. But the eventual success of Artblocks was that I was able to, without having to explain every step to someone, just make it happen. And I remember the first time that I minted a piece when I was playing around in Inkabee, and I clicked purchase, and it was a squiggle because I've been testing with the squiggle for years now, and it presented me a squiggle, and it was, the code was on the chain, the token was on the chain, and I lost it. I was like, oh my god, like this is like it worked, and I'm sure that somebody else could have done it. It probably would have cost like an extra $20,000 to like develop the API, and I don't have that kind of money to throw. Like it, like especially, early 2020, I had a decent amount of ETH because I've been spending like $100 a week buying ETH for a while, and it was cheap for a while, so like I accumulated it. I then put all of it in Topshot. So then I had zero. I literally like went from having like a decent little stash of ETH at $300 a token to zero, and selling things so that I could buy more Topshot packs, which is a dark moment in my life. Not so much now, because obviously like those moments are worth a lot of money, and so it was probably the best decision I've ever made in my life. But so I spent the time developing it so that I could, because I didn't think that I could like, explain it well enough to a developer to not pay a fortune in the process of having the developers understand what I wanted to do.
Yeah. And in the end, it was kind of great timing, to be honest. Like, I feel like it lined up all for whatever reasons in the back end, it lined up to be good timing.
Yeah, so that brings back a little bit of the dark spot of Topshot, right? Like I actually, like, Artblocks was delayed for at least 3 months because of Topshot, because I got sucked in pretty bad. I mean, I was spending easily 6 hours a day in that Discord, um, trading just like base moments with people and having a blast. I mean, it was amazing, but I was literally useless because every day I was doing deals with people, just like trading base moments, trading whatever, just to back to like this need to have full sets of everything, right? So, and that's where like all this ETH was dumped into, like obsessively buying, like accumulating full sets of like the denied series and whatever, like it was kind of a mess. So I got so deep into that I I stopped working on Artblocks for like
Mm,
2 or 3 months. And what happened as a result of that is that when I launched Artblocks, it just so happened to be kind of right at the beginning of this. Well, not at the beginning, but kind of like in the middle of this kind of crazy hype cycle, which has a lot of benefits. I'm also terrified at like how much the value of Artblocks pieces has gone up, um, because I really, really enjoyed what happened with CryptoPunks. I
yeah.
think that the reason I have zero concerns about the value of punks over time is because of how gradual it went. And I have zero concerns about the value of art blocks long term either. I just, the fact that they've gone up so fast terrifies me, right? I'm
Yeah.
proud. Like it's amazing. It's like, it's validation. Like there could be no better validation, but at the same time, yeah, I'm definitely kind of a little scared. So, and then the other thing too, it's like when I launched, you could mint a squiggle for $7 in gas, and I honestly believe that if I would have launched Artblocks when gas was averaging 100, I don't think Artblocks would be where it is today.
Yeah.
I don't think enough people would have gotten the experience of minting because the gas would have turned them off.
Yeah.
The idea that you pay 0.07 ETH to mint a 0.035 ETH piece, uh, would have been absurd on November 27th, was starting to get absurd in December. But when we were running out of Chromie squiggles, it wasn't absurd anymore. In fact, I minted 200 of them and I wanted 500. And I'm actually like frustrated that I didn't mint more. Um, they went so fast at the end, and I was juggling some other stuff when that was happening. And I remember them going, and like, I was like, we had a drop that day, so I was like juggling the drop, and then all of a sudden I'd be like, wait a minute, like that's 100 more squiggles, and so then I'd go like mint a bunch of squiggles and handle the drop.
And
Uh,
even thinking about it, I mean, I minted some when you launched, and I even was like, damn the gas, like you know what I mean? Because I mean, not that long ago, we were paying 20 cents for transactions, like, and it's just craziness now, like absolutely absurd. And when you're paying more for gas fees than the actual item, no matter what the price is, it kind of hurts. You know what I
it
mean?
hurts. Yeah. I mean, I
So
finally came to terms with the fact that I valued, forget the squiggle, right? Like the squiggle was more me just like feeling like I was giving up my children. And so I just was willing to pay more gas for that.
mhm.
But I realized, I think the ringers drop was the first one where gas like really kind of became a thing. And I realized that at that higher gas price, the value was still worth it for me to do it. Like I didn't care what the total cost of that piece was, especially after you started to see like, a bunch of iterations come out of the machine, and you're like, oh my
Yeah.
god, and yeah, you can go on testnet and you can see that, but like until they're in real life, like it didn't feel the same. But yeah, that moment to me was pretty epic when I was like, okay, like even if gas was 3 times the price of the piece, I want this piece. And I really do believe that we're, putting art ahead of speculation. And I mentioned, I did a post today in our Discord, and I was like I have nothing against you if you're flipping these pieces. Like you're adding, um, as long as you're being fair and not shilling and like going out to the, like, you're adding liquidity to this
Yeah.
market, and that's fine. Um, but that is zero my concern. And like I could care less. Like I don't, if you get if you buy one and then you have to sell it for less, like I'm not gonna pity you, like you know, because
Yeah.
that's not what I'm here for. And hopefully you make enough money to make up for the moment that, and I posted that today. I said, like, one day you will buy something that you will not be able to sell for more. That's this,
Yep.
you know, game that crypto is. And I just really hope that you love the piece the
Right.
way that I love the pieces, to where I don't feel like I, you know, would be terribly bummed if, you know, I mean, I'd be really bummed if all of the Artblocks pieces all of a sudden just like went to nothing. Like if people were like, I hate art, like get out of here. But you know, like when you, if you buy a piece for 5 and then all of a sudden like you have it listed for 4 and no one's biting and people are like, oh, Artblocks is dead. Like I just, you know, I just want to reach through the computer and like
It won't
strangle.
happen.
Like,
It won't happen.
are you real? Like, you know,
You're too much of an involved, passionate person, and like I said, in this for like the core ethos of it. So that won't happen. Don't worry.
yeah, I mean, you know, and I am prepared for it. You know, I have a lot of conversations with people that they're like, you know, it's not always going to be this way, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm ready for when it. I'm desperate for when it's not going to be this way. I don't sleep at night when it's like this. Like, the idea of Art Blocks was that you would have this website with like eventually with like 30 or 40 beautiful pieces of art that you would get to buy someone as a gift for their wedding. Like you'd scroll through and be like, oh, this looks like them, and mint the piece to their, to like some paper wallet and print it and take it to their wedding. Just because I bought so many punks, right? Like a lot of them were wedding gifts and birthday gifts and whatever. And I do think NFTs make pretty cool gifts. Um, and that's absolutely the intention of the platform for the future, is that there are going to be 40, 50 active projects that are not all minted instantly. And maybe that won't be the case with curated, and maybe that won't be the case with playground. And that's why we've started segmenting, because I never participated in a sneaker drop, but I always heard about them and I always kind of had this like intrigue. But I certainly participated in like buying Coachella tickets,
Yeah.
where I'd have like 8 of my employees, like Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory,
Yeah.
right?
All trying to get.
Like, I need you to get on this website at this time, and like, how's it going over there? What percentage are you? Like, how, you know, what number in line are you? You know, like, so I understand what that is, and it's part of the excitement. I understand the joy that comes out of kind of like scoring a piece or getting a ticket or whatever it might be. So I didn't want to like discredit that excitement. And obviously I had just finished Topshot. So like, you know, or had been going through Topshot, and that kind of created that excitement in me as well. But I mean, ultimately, yeah, like I have this vision where like Art Blocks is going to be, you know, drops are going to be like sneakers. I hope like the curated drops are going to be like sneakers, and I'm okay with it. I wasn't okay with it at first. I was not okay with things selling out instantly at first. I was happy for the artist, I was happy for the platform, but I was not okay with it. Like it just felt. But now I'm totally cool with it, because I think that there's something really exciting about the moment too. And if we weren't fighting each other for gas, it would be way more exciting. Whatever. And then you're going to have this thing, the Artblocks Factory, which hopefully will eventually be this browsable website where it's just, there's so many projects on there that like, and because you're not compelled to buy it as a collector's piece, uh, those will be active for a little bit longer. I have a crazy vision where, you know, an artist might make their debut and all of a sudden be like, man, like where this guy came out of no, because there's some really great artists. There's some really great generative artists that are like 13 years old, right? And
Yeah.
like, I'm definitely not trying to like raise ETH for like a 13-year-old. Like, I don't know. Eventually, we'll have to have some kind of terms of service or something, because the internet is way too open, and I just can imagine, you know, a 13-year-old Eric, like with a squiggle and like, you know, $100,000 in ETH, you know, and my parents just like being like, what? Like, you know, just like losing their shit. But you know, I think that there's some really cool opportunities for the factory to do that. And then I think we have this beautiful little thing in the middle with the playground where, you know, the intensity, the frequency is higher than curated, and so maybe eventually you'll have some projects that hang out a little bit longer there, but you know, maybe not as long as factory. We're giving people like a lot of different ways to participate. You know, with Topshot, you could buy a $9 pack, a $29 pack, or a $230 pack. Some sets were 8, some sets were 15 different ones you had to collect. Like there was just so many, it was so dynamic. And I think that that's the reason why Topshot is still viable today. I think right now it's really hard in the crypto space with our, ADD as crypto collectors. And, it's like, there's just so much. It's like we were talking about our Discord beeps earlier, right? It's like,
Yeah.
even if you shut off notifications of all your Discords and then you join like 2 or 3 more, it's like, blah, 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 like it's ADD times, it's crazy. And there's so much noise and so many distractions. I think when you launch a NFT, as amazing as it might be, as its own independent standalone deal, it could be the most amazing thing in the world. But like the ADD of the crypto community is destined for it, eventually, no matter how good it is, potentially kind of getting forgotten temporarily, and then it comes back, because we go through these cycles. And I think that's awesome to see the art again and like get excited about it again. And as Ethereum evolves and as the ERC 721 evolves and as the community evolves, I do think that platforms that host multiple things, that's the reason that Super Rare and Known Origin are still viable, because they still have a lot of stuff on their platform. There's still daily content. There's still stuff to talk about that's different every single day. And you could make the argument that CryptoPunks started and ended on the same exact day, but they're the original ones. And like, period. Like they get that credit, and they will always be in every single article and every single conversation as a result of that. Autoglyphs, in my opinion, from an art perspective, are like a fine art perspective, not just like, nerdy generative art, like pixel excitement perspective. To me, autoglyphs are like some of the finest, NFTs in terms of like fine art, and like something that's compelling for the outside world to understand and see. And there's 5% the number of autoglyphs that are CryptoPunks.
I mean, the floor is like what?
It's really high. It's like 60 ETH, right?
Yeah.
But it's only 3 times as much as a CryptoPunk. It should be around 20 times, right? Like if you think about it. And I think that kind of goes to show, I think eventually they'll have their day. They're having their day, right? Like the other day, I sold my first autoglyph ever to a friend for a discount for 45 ETH. Like what?
That's the discount. Wow.
It's wild. But autoglyphs are an independent project. And so like, I think that no matter how good they are, how compelling they are, I think that, it's trouble. I think that, hash masks, they're really beautiful. I think technically they're, not the most technical NFT. Obviously, like I nerd out about things that are on chain. But as I think the art on hash masks is pretty cool. I think that like conceptually, and it's mixed and it's generative and whatever. But they'll have to fight to stay relevant.
Yeah.
As hash masks came this year, 20 more like that are actually viable and relevant will come this year. And then next year it'll be 20 every month that are just as good, if not better, or actually like amazing, that could completely get forgotten and swept under the rug because of just the noise. I compare it to like Kickstarter. Like when Kickstarter first started, you had this audience, this infinite audience, because there was only a few projects. And so if you were a nerd and you'd had an extra $30, you'd get on Kickstarter and be like, what am I going to like, and there was no speculation there because you didn't get ownership. You literally got to say that you got the very first, plug-in cooler that had a beer tap or what, whatever it might be. But eventually it got really saturated. Eventually, half of the Kickstarter campaigns I backed didn't produce the product. Because people were just started chasing funds and they started getting greedy. And I feel like that's something that is starting this year in crypto art. And so by the middle of next year, I think right now it's still viable that you could have a product and get it in front of people if it's a viable product. I think by the middle of next year, you can have an amazing product, but unless you're willing to spend serious money on advertising, you might never get it in front of the right people. And it's a bummer, obviously, but that it is what it is. And so, I don't remember why I started talking about that.
But I do have something to say on that. That is why I'm so excited about you and all the things you're doing, because when I look at a project, immediately I look at who is behind the project. And if I don't know them, I try to do my research and get to know them a little bit and understand why they are actually launching something. You've been in this space for a long, long time, and you've been in this space through the bear markets, and you continued to be a part of the community and build and just do everything that you were doing when the market was up. So I think that in itself gives such like a credibility to you and to your project, and for other people to know, okay, he's been grinding this whole time and been here this whole time, and when things are going well, he's still here, but when things might not go well, if a bubble pops or whatever it is, he will still be here. So
Totally.
that's when I get really excited about stuff, when I'm like, this is literally made by the community for the community. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
I can't wait for the bubble to pop. I can't.
Yeah.
I really can't. I want my old punk server back. You know, I want the conversation not to be about price and what's the best. You know, I want it to be back to like,
And Logan Paul or whatever their
yeah, like
fucking
let's
names
talk
are.
about crypto and let's talk about what's happening and let's talk about the new stuff and why this project is good and why this project is not good. You know,
Yeah.
and I mean, obviously, the punks community still to this day is ground zero. It literally is ground zero for NFTs. Everything that I learned, I mean,
NFTs
that's
on
like,
Ethereum, but yes.
yeah, for Ethereum. But like, I mean, I got sucked into Topshot because, you know, people were hinting at these little Top Shots. And then eventually I was like, just tell me what the hell you're talking about. And eventually I got the invite link in there. And then like, you know, a couple of months later, 50 ETH in, and I'm, you know, literally like looking to see what I could sell in real life so that I could buy more Top Shots, you know? But yeah, no, the market to me, the slow market is going to be, I think, the opportunity in my normal business. We've had some really great growth years, and then we've had, you know, I'm in the construction business, right? So like 2008 was just a disaster for us.
Mm-hmm.
2013, I'm in Houston, right? So like the oil and gas issues in 2013, like were really rough on my business, and those years were the best years to like take a step back, figure out what you're doing right, and like just launch the next time that it does well. And so the fact that we are in a launch right now and we don't have time to think about what we're doing right, it scares the crap out of me. You know,
Yeah.
I'm so lucky. I have a there's this gentleman, his name is Jeff Davis, that is a generative artist that's been making art with computer code for, you know, decades, and also like one of the kindest people I've ever met in crypto. And he was one of the first artists to launch on Artblocks, and he's been, you know, like my rock when, you know, during this entire process. He's uh, going to be our first full time, you know, person to come
That's
on
huge.
board and be on
Congrats.
like as an advisor as well. And like he's just, you know, but like there's this there's this there's just this sensation, you know, like if you would see our direct messages and be like, did you see who sent you an email, like did you see who appeared in the artist application, like it's all daily good news. It's like ecstasy every single day, and that's exciting, and it's not even tiring, although, you know, I wake up with like 50 direct messages and I'm getting to the
Yeah.
point where I have to be like, I'm sorry, I can't answer you right now, like
Yeah.
but there's no time to like grow the platform. It's just growing on its own. And I want to be able to take a step back and just be able to be like, okay, now let's let it kind of, you know, just simmer for a little bit. And you know, people say, well, stop doing drops, but we have 180 artists now that have applied. And
Oh.
the way that artists are communicating with us, they're like, they understand the vision instantly.
Yeah.
It's like they get it because they have not had a place like this in their career in generative
Right.
art. A lot of them had thought about doing stuff like this. A lot of them had thrown these ideas around in their personal life, amongst their friends, amongst their artist community. And then all of a sudden, like it appeared, like here it is, and it works from day one. And I think it's criminal that right now we're telling artists that you might not be able to do a curated drop for like 6 months or 8 months. In crypto, that's like
Yeah.
18 years.
Yeah.
Um, and so the idea of like slowing down the drops to where I might be telling artists, like, you might not do a curated drop for 2 years, 3 years, like in 2 or 3 years, I want Artblocks to be well beyond the crypto space. I want, you know, like when we talk about it, mass adoption, it's like, you know, when something becomes mass adopted, it's the person that's using it doesn't know why it works anymore. Like when I send an email, I don't know how
Right.
the little bytes and bits are put together and get to the other end, right? If I did, then I would have been there in 19 whatever, like, you know, being a huge email nerd or whatever. Um, we need for mass adoption for people to be able to operate on these platforms without having to give a shit about how it works. And we're getting there little by little. I think, for example, the Flow blockchain, as people like to call it, centralized or not, like it's giving people a more normal user experience than the crypto experience. Uh, and I'm hoping that in 3 years, our biggest clients and collectors and participants are like, I want 90% of them to have never touched crypto, you know,
Yeah.
which I think will reward the people that are here today big time, right? I mean, if, you know, I definitely don't want to compare myself to punks in terms of like value, but in terms of like years pass. So, you know, year zero and look at year three, and just like the community grows, more people, you know, want to participate. Um, I really don't want the crypto collector to be defining Artblocks in 3 years. I want just the art world to be defining that. And so, yeah, anyways, this goes just to say, I can't tell artists, like, I'm sorry, like I can't, you know, we just can't talk to you for a year. And what they're going to do is they're just going to go deploy on another platform. So, which is great. If they don't want to wait, like I get it, like I respect it. There's other platforms that are doing fun stuff in the generative. And I support it. It's nothing but validating that you see all these other platforms doing it. But these are artists that I've been like dreaming about for years, right? Like I've been following them on Instagram and just like drooling at their work. And then to think that because I created something that is in such high demand, I might have to give up getting to work with like someone that I consider more of a celebrity than the celebrities that are reaching out to me because I have punks or whatever. That would crush me. And so, no, I don't want to slow this down. Um,
Sean asked, "What's your bottleneck?"
um, there's actually, I mean, I'm a little bit of a bottleneck, but I'm not ready to do more than one drop a week. So
Mm-hmm.
in terms of curation, we don't have a bottleneck. We have consistently done a drop a week. The artist playground has consistently dropped whenever they want to drop. You know, we just ask them to kind of respect when there's going to be a curated drop, like not to
Mm-hmm.
drop too close before that. So um, there isn't necessarily a bottleneck. I guess if you could say there's a bottleneck on the Artblocks factory, which is kind of the more free for all level deployments. But that's because I have to be behind every drop. Like every time
Right.
there's a drop, like I'm rendering half to 3/4 of the pieces on my computer because crypto is very fast and OpenSea is desperate for the images. And if I don't render right away, then everybody ends up with all these blanks and then they have to refresh it. It's just awkward and ugly and having to explain to people to click the refresh button over and over. So I'm rendering every drop. And as straightforward as it probably seems that, you know, someone buys a piece and it gets rendered, there's this concept of queues that are happening on the servers. And so when a server receives 1,000 requests to render something, even if it only takes 15 seconds to render, um, it takes a really long time and there's errors, and then it, you know, kills the queue and we're starting over. And so if for the factory to be effective, it would require Artblocks to be at a point where I don't have to be there for the drop.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, obviously, you know, with factory and with playground, the artist announces their own work, and I could be sitting there having margaritas for happy hour and just kind of, you know, watching the Discord instead of having to like panic about like gas wars and, you know, things not rendering and images being too big and whatever. So that's the bottleneck. And, you know, I've been really lucky with the people that I've met along the way. There's some amazing people that are behind Artblocks now, like crazy human brains. And two of them, there's a couple developers that are really interested in kind of being like full-time developers for Artblocks, and they're very talented. And so we have a game plan, and that game plan is starting to be executed now. And I think that in about a month and a half, maybe two, Artblocks drops will be automated, and
That's huge.
we'll be able to have this factory, and an artist that wants to drop and doesn't want to wait for curation will be able to drop in the factory, and I won't think any differently of them, you know, like
Yeah.
get your stuff out there. If an artist wants to do 10,000 iterations today, we're not putting them in the curated section. Like that doesn't fit that
Right.
section. So if they want 10,000, then they can just go to the factory. It doesn't mean their art is any less. It doesn't mean that they're any less of an artist. It just means that it fits what's happening in the factory better. So I would say that's the main bottleneck, because otherwise I'm spending easily 60 hours a week, besides my full-time job and my family, like making sure this thing stays together, and loving every moment of it. I don't complain. I feel like I've been a little bit more complaining lately. I do wake up with 50 direct messages, and a lot of them are
Yeah.
like, what's the best Artblocks piece to buy, and what's the best investment? And today, well, I won't even get into specifics, but like some of these are really hard to not like to ignore, but at the same time it's like I actually no longer have like a really nice way of answering a lot of these questions that I'm getting, and
I just don't answer a lot of my DMs, which I feel bad, but I just get too many requests sometimes, and it's hard to filter through which are valid requests and which aren't. So, I mean, you should have one of these, and I should make one of these, customize and be like, if you have something important, go to my Discord. Maybe the community can
Discord.
answer it, or if I'm there, I can, kind of
And
thing.
and yeah, an autoresponder bot would be genius for Discord.
Yeah.
If that exists, please reach out to me. Like I'll pay in squiggles, or real money, that's fine. And also, something that would be really great in Discord, if the Discord gods were hearing me, which I definitely don't think they are, is the ability to make something unread. Uh,
Yeah.
because what happens is I wake up, I'm groggy because I went to bed at 2 in the morning, like talking to people,
This
and
happens to me all the time.
then I see the messages from the people I want to, like, that I'm in the middle of some kind of week-long conversation about, that's like a marathon conversation. Like I will specifically call out Akira, that I read his messages and I'm like, oh my gosh, and I'm excited to reach out to him, and then everything else happens. I get to work, and then later in the day he's like, hey man, did I say something to upset you? It's like, and I'm like, no man,
Yeah.
like, I read it, but like I'm
And
not,
I
it's
thought I
early.
responded in my head. This happens to
Yeah,
me literally all the time.
yeah, or like it wasn't, I couldn't sit down and respond right there, like it just
Right.
wasn't the right time. I was like, plus there's another 49 to read, and I feel real guilty because like there's some that I really really am excited to respond to, and then you get on with your day, like it's completely, all of the direct messages are relevant. I went back yesterday and looked at some from like almost a week ago that were really important that I didn't reply to, and people I didn't know, and I feel bad and I feel guilty about it. But I don't think Discord is the right way to. If you have a really, obviously with these conversations that I'm having, like specifically with Akira, they're beautiful conversations, and that's really the only way that we could communicate like that. But if I don't know you and you have something really important to bring to the table, I think email is still the best way to do it. I mean,
Yeah.
and now we're like 70 emails a day, and like however many Twitter, messages. I mean, we need, I need someone to help.
You
I
need
need help.
help. You need help.
I need
We
help.
all, I mean, don't feel like you, it does often like feel like you're drowning or suffocating or something. Like, and I always say to some of my close friends, they're like, "Oh, how's your work going?" And I'm like, "Don't even ask me about it. I am so stressed that it's paralyzing." So I mean, I totally know what you mean, and I think other people do as well. So don't feel like you're alone in that. Um, Also, uh, Martin Lucas said Eric is great. We just about him. I think we just chatted about him in the generative art room on Clubhouse. That's awesome. And other people were popping in. Crypto Novo, all started with the community. Thanks Snowfro. Oh oh oh! You started working on something with G Money. That's cool. It all started with help from this zombie. Thanks Snowfro and Discord community. That's awesome. Everyone is just chiming in. Lander said there's a way to make your messages marked unread, but I'm pretty sure I've tried, and there's only way to make your message mark as read, not unread.
Yeah. So Lander, hit me up, please. If there's
Yeah,
a way to
tell
do that.
us, tell us.
Awesome.
Um, um, yeah. Sorry, I'm not sure what you. Well, no. Okay, never mind. Um, So yeah, no, I totally know what you mean, and it is especially right now, and with you launching something, it's so hard to keep track of everything. But at the same time, like what an amazing, like when you take a step back from this, like could you imagine that a year ago you'd be saying the things that you just said, that the people that you literally have like looked up to and you have been in awe of their art for so long want to launch something with you with the code that you taught yourself and you built with your own hands? Like how fucking amazing is that? You know what I mean?
It's absurd. I mean, I tell all these artists, I'm like, I expected, I say expected every time too. And I mean, I never expect anything, but like, you know, in my mind, I expected that I would maybe get a response from these artists after a year or two of showing stuff on the platform and just kind of demonstrating it. I really thought it was going to take that long. I didn't expect it to happen weeks after. You know, there's some people in this space that have dedicated their life to this space that, you know, I'm getting emails from, and it's it's crazy. It's literally a dream come true. And so when I catch myself complaining, it's like I'm complaining about something that is very much associated with like my own OCD and the need to respond to everybody with a nice, gentle response. And I'm teaching myself that it's just physically impossible now. And I remember when Ben from Cryptopunk declared direct message bankruptcy. That's how he called
Yeah,
it. Like I am declaring, and I was like, what are you talking about? Like,
I want
you
to
know,
do that.
and yeah, and I was like, man, well, that's rude, you know, like you know, we're your community here,
Yeah.
you know, and I have been wanting to declare direct message bankruptcy for like a couple weeks now, and I totally get it, and I feel bad for thinking he was a jerk when he did it, you know, like
Yeah.
it's, but a lot gets done in Discord with
Hmm.
DMs, and some serious magic happens in those little chats. So
Totally. Speaking of magic, we talked about it really briefly before we started, but I think we should do something fun for a couple squiggles. You
yeah,
think? I
yeah, I
think
think
we should.
good.
I think we should do a trivia based on this conversation that we had.
All right,
Do you think that's a good idea?
I
Like
think
I
yeah,
have some questions off the top of my head that are obviously about you that we just talked about. If you guys, we so generously, Snowfro has decided to give away a couple squiggles, which is huge and also so cool because it's the first thing that I collected myself off Artblocks and I really like them. And before the show started, I only had, let's see, I have my wallet open. I only had 7 and now I have 8, which I'm pretty happy about. And thank you very much. I'm a proud owner of the lowest one I have is number 9, which I think is pretty cool. I
that's
mean,
major. That's
9, 17, 30, 31, 32, 38, 40, and now 9,107. It's pretty
I mean,
cool.
for anyone that was there day one, I I just can't even I just can't even like I can't picture where my brain was back then, and I can't even picture where your brain was back then. Like to be there on day one of like our blocks minting.
It truly was because I've seen you everywhere in the community, and I've always I'm not kidding. I don't know why, but it stuck with me so much when you were doing the plotter autoglyphs,
Yeah,
and like you were like, oh, if you know I can't take a ton of orders, but if anyone wants one of theirs, like I'll make it, and like just the always the interactions I've always seen with you, I've just always respected and really enjoyed. So when I saw you were doing something, I was like, of course I have to get some of these. You know what I mean? It was
super
it was
flattered.
really cool. Okay, so do you want me to ask the questions or do you want to ask the questions? Because I have some I can think of already.
I think you should ask them because I'm gonna stumble on them.
Okay,
So,
first one will be a fun one, and we'll see. The first person you have to here are the rules. Answer with your ETH address. So this is your 10-second warning to get your ETH address ready. And the first person to answer the correct answer with your ETH address will get the first squiggle. I asked Snowfro which reality show he would want to be on. What did he
oh
respond?
God, remind me. I'm already embarrassed that I even said that.
Yeah, that was a good one. Lucerman, you said your ETH address, but what's the answer? You have to say your answer too. The correct answer, of course.
I'm glad people have forgotten already. This is great.
We've already gotten 3 ETH addresses. Oh, Alex Sup K, Housewives. I think that counts.
Yeah.
No, Lander Big Brother was not it. Housewives Survivor, nope, Survivor not it. Awesome. Okay, Alex, let me copy your message before this gets
So
crazy.
let me share with
I'm DMing you on Discord. You could send them after. Um, okay, next question. Are we gonna do two questions?
Yeah, let's do two. But
Okay,
I think we
cool.
should mint one live if
Okay, do it.
you
Yeah,
want.
yeah, do
Yeah,
it. Do you
can
want to
you
pull
mint?
up your? You can pull up your screen.
Yeah, can you DM it to me in
I did. Do you want it in Twitter? I did it in Discord.
no
But I can do
on
Twitter.
Zoom
Oh yeah, yeah.
if that works for the way you're sharing and stuff.
Actually, no, I don't think I could do Zoom. Can I do
Oh,
Twitter?
I have an idea. I can get it on my phone. There it
Sorry,
is.
I don't have my
Copy. All right, cool. So yeah, let me share the screen. Hopefully it works. The purchase to feature. The purchase to feature is not working super well these days. Wait, can you see my screen?
It says you've started sharing your screen, but oh, there we go. Sweet, I see it now.
All right. So, oh no.
Oops.
Well, that's not right. Let's see if my computer wants to cooperate. Copy text.
Jersey Shore. No, the answer was not Jersey Shore.
Yeah. Okay. Well, maybe we'll do this. Oh, I have an idea.
Guy Galaxy, I'm sorry, I got the answer from Alex first. I'll screenshot it so you guys can see it. I'll post it on my Discord.
All right. So, please work.
Guy Galaxy, on yours, maybe it came up first, but the first time I saw Housewives was Alex. But let's see.
Let's see if this thing can work.
Yeah, I'll post a screenshot for you guys in my Discord. But yeah, the first time I see Housewives typed was Alex right after his ETH address, and then I saw you come two answers after. Sorry.
All right, let's see if this can work. Please work. You know the chromie squiggle when it's a fuzzy like this, we'll put some serious wear in the process.
Oh, geez.
Okay, we're gonna have to mint these after for whatever reason the purchase to feature.
Okay, that's fine. We'll do it after.
So well, but yeah, so send them, and I'll mint them afterwards, guys. And if you go onto the Artblocks Discord, you can watch them being minted live. Do that too sometimes.
Okay.
Angry.
Yeah. Okay, let's do one more. If you want to. Sorry, I'm assuming that you want to do two. Well, let's do one more.
There you go. Here's one. I've been wanting to do this thing with like my buddy Steady, where we'd have like a live break where people would actually, we'd do it like to charity, right? So like people would donate to charity and they'd get a spot, and like 10 of us would get together and mint 10 squiggles and watch them and comment on them.
Oh, that's cool.
All right.
That's awesome.
That's number one. Cool. All right. What's the next one?
Okay, next one. Also, guys, send me a screenshot, and if you did answer Housewives first, then I will send you a squiggle.
Well, I will also.
No, that's fine. I will send you a squiggle. So just send me a screenshot, and I'll show you what I have because I see the other one first. Okay, next question. Okay, just to be clear, answer with your ETH address and the answer to the question in one message. Okay? Or yeah, whoever has the ETH and the answer first wins it. Okay, let me think. What do I want to do? I think I want to ask. Is this gonna be a good one? Do you have your Twitter? What can you see, Snowfro? Do you have your Twitter up?
No.
Oh darn! I was gonna.
Can you see stuff on Twitter, like the comments on Twitter?
No, I was gonna private DM you, but no, don't pull it up because then they can all see it. I was gonna see if you liked the question, but I don't know. Let's see. Okay, I will. It might be too easy. Do you have a good one you can think of from the stream that we've asked?
From the stream.
From the stream.
Um, yeah. So how much? Maybe whoever can remember how much. What was the dollar value of the ETH that I put into my best friend's daughter's 18-year locked smart contract?
Good question.
I don't think I specifically said
Well,
it.
I think you said the ETH amount. So I'm gonna tell you the answers, and you see which one is right. Someone said $23. Someone said $40. Someone said 2K, 2K, 150.
So close.
And don't forget to send your address and your answer. Send your address and your answer, because I'm not reading your answer if you don't have a ETH address with it. 30 ETH.
Yeah.
10 ETH.
Yep.
Isn't that correct?
Oh, well, yeah. That's good enough.
I think you did. Didn't you say 10 ETH? What did you say?
Yeah, it was 10 ETH, and it was $10 for ETH back then, so
Okay.
it was about $100.
And you guys correct me before I say. I want to make sure. I'm gonna double check myself before we say who the winner is because I want to make sure I don't mess up. So Lil Nath said $23 incorrect. Lou Sherman $40 incorrect. Sean 2K incorrect. The next one I see Brian Brinkman. I see your 10 ETH answer, but I don't see your ETH address. So sorry, Brian. Jonas, Mr. Ravada 30 ETH, no. And then I see Paul Seeley 10 ETH, and I see his address. So I'm gonna say Paul won.
Technicalities. All right.
Paul won. Paul won. I'll send it to you.
Cool. And you can do it
on Discord.
Yeah.
There you go. Whoops. Sorry, I sent a little too much.
All right, Paul. Let's do.
This is cool. Thanks for giving 2 of these away. This is awesome.
I mean, that's what they're for. You know, we stopped giving them. We stopped letting people buy them because I expected them to last a lot longer than they lasted.
Yeah.
So now they're here for people that get them in the community. So let's see what we got. The other day, I minted a hyper fuzzy to someone as a thank you. And that was just wild because I feel like these days, if you really want to sell a hyper fuzzy for like $20,000, you can. And so it's pretty mad, like what's happening here. Like I do reserve the right to maybe one day like mint myself some, just because I feel like I really want them.
That's fair.
But it's pretty wild to see this happening. So I think we've minted like 70, and what do we got? Oh, nice.
That's
nice
a cool one. Well,
yeah,
so I'm curious. The 2 people who just won, Paul, was this your first Artblocks piece, or do you have one, or do you specifically have any squiggles yet? And then also, who won? I don't know the username that won right before. Let's see.
Oh, it was I just said Housewives.
Yeah. But yeah, you tell me also. Is it your first one? I'm always so intrigued. I love when people get a NFT from me for and it's their first one. I'm always so excited about that. I'm like, this is really cool for people to have their first one. I also love the repeat buyers too.
There's some crazy stuff happening with the community with squiggles. Obviously, like the reaction that I've gotten from people is really warm. It's really been fun to watch. Yesterday, I was invited to join a Discord called Squiggle DAO, and there's a community that's being built around owning a squiggle.
No way, that is so cool.
You join it, and then you have to prove that you own one, and then when you prove that you own one, you get into like this other channel, and this will be announced, I'm sure, pretty soon. But
That's so cool.
it's crazy what Ethereum can do.
Oh yeah.
The building blocks, the Lego blocks, like it's just it's crazy.
That's awesome.
So I encourage you guys to all join in if you have your space.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, by the way, Alex, who won the first one, said his first NFT in general. That's so
Wow.
awesome. I mean,
Yeah.
thanks for coming on the stream and like and being ready with your address and everything. That's so cool. You
So
broke
I have
someone's NFT virginity.
a lot in our Discord. We'll say this is my dad's first NFT. This is my
That's
friend's
so
first
cool.
NFT. It was all good until we got into gas wars, and it was instead being like, this is my friend's first NFT attempt, and he'll never try again. I'm like, no.
Yeah. And then Paul Seeley said, I found out about the project a few weeks ago. I managed to mint a 27-bit digital and a few Pathfinders. That's so cool.
Yeah.
And thank you, Lander. Lander said, my first Josie was life changing. You rock. Squiggle holders unite. Super lucky winning one of those. This that was so cool. And Guy, I'm gonna send you a squiggle because I actually just got gifted one, so I'm gonna regift it, which I think is kind of cool if you don't mind that I regift. But
Yeah, no, that's good. That's fine.
okay, cool. This is so cool. Okay, sorry to get involved in all of this, but this was, I mean, that's so cool that you just did a giveaway for a couple of these, and especially for someone who's like brand new to NFTs, their first one, and then for someone who has like supported the platform and is really excited about learning all of this. And um, I love that so much. You guys are so awesome, and I love how active. You're gonna have to watch this YouTube chat later when you have time, or maybe if your wife is watching, she can tell you about it. But it's really active, and people are just so excited about this. I want to know like what you've talked a lot about what you where you want your platform to go, which I'm really excited about, and some of the next steps that you have of hiring and how you know, the drop schedule and all of this. But what are like the if what can you talk about are the next things that people should be looking out for? Where, for people who don't know, where can they be getting the updates of the drops weekly? How they can learn more about the playground, the factory, all of this.
Yeah, so part of not having a chance to really kind of settle down and like take our time is that the information is lacking on our part. Like I feel, we're trying, and I think we get better every day. But the fact that there's, not like a guide on 10 different things, like everything from how an artist gets started to how to mint, how to make sure that you hear about these drops. Like there's just, this space is great because if you're in the community, you can know everything, right? But if you don't join Discord, like we have, man, I think we have like 6,000 followers, or about to hit 6,000 followers on Twitter, which is absurd.
Yeah.
Considering we started with 100 3 months ago. And there's 2,000 people in the Discord. Like there's 4,000 people that don't know what's going on. And because of punks, like the Discord for me has been home base. And so to me, it's like, well, duh, it's in Discord. But, a lot of people have to remind me that that's not where everything happens. We tweet about every curated drop. We intentionally don't tweet about the playground drops because we want people to look at the curated drops as a collectible, as a piece of art, right? So like I want people to feel like there's some kind of throttle to what needs to be collected to feel like you're collecting the set. And the reason I don't think it's completely absurd is because I went through the trouble of collecting 87 different attributes on punks and 10 different glyphs and every freaking Topshot drop that existed. And I know that it's for the people that enjoy that, like it's totally doable. Obviously there's money involved, so that's a totally different conversation. So the playground is there for people not to feel like they have to like collect those, but the artists that have been previously curated have a voice, have a place to keep doing what they're really enjoying to do and not have to wait like another year to do it. So the only way to hear about those is, I mean, now we have a channel in our Discord for playground artists to kind of make announcements, but it's kind of like known origin and super rare and async art, where like, yeah, those platforms might have a digest once a week and say this is dropping, and but but the artists are the ones saying this is what I'm doing, and it's hard because people want the Artblocks pieces. Sometimes it makes me wonder if like people just want anything that's on Artblocks. Like I really want people to
Hmm.
like the art, and I think that Playground has been epic. Like it's like the quality of the stuff on the Playground has been just as good as some of the curated drops, and um, I don't want people to feel like they're missing out. But like the reality is, if you are involved in Artblocks, you know when the Playground drops are. If you have felt a connection with one of the artists that dropped something in the curated drops, you are now following them on Twitter. You are now following them in Discord. You're in their little channel because every artist has like a channel to their own, and you know when those drops are coming. And crypto can be a full time job just as a collector. So I get it. Like not everybody has time for that. So we're going to eventually have calendars, drop calendars, get curation going to where we have like a month and a half of like secured dates for drops. Um, Something I didn't really mention earlier, we have a curation board of 20 people that are the ones that decide whether an art piece can fall within a curated drop, and those are some of the most important people in the generative art space and in the crypto space. And like, we have a massive brain in the curated section, but these people are also busy people, and I feel guilty kind of like, that we have to berate them with too many curation pieces. And right now it's, we're just kind of getting started, we're kind of learning the ropes, but ideally we'll be 6 weeks out for curated drops. We'll have a nice calendar of events for Artblocks in general, not just for curated drops. Maybe we'll be able to add the playground drops in there, just maybe not announce them, but they'll be on the calendar. Um, and but the way to get to know what's happening now, as with any kind of new platform, is you just kind of have to be a part of the community. You kind of have to be involved and active. If you send me, I'm not. This is one of those like I feel like a jerk thing, but like I get a lot of direct messages. They're like, when is the next drop? And those are the ones I just don't have time. I literally
Yeah.
just don't have time to answer those. Like it's like there is a lot of information out there for that. But yeah, no, that's kind of our roadmap, is just giving more information, being better about providing information, creating interactive guides, um, explaining gas better. Oh man, like a lot of
Yeah.
new people have gotten hurt because they just. It's like you want to say, well, maybe you shouldn't jump in if you don't know what you're doing, but like they want a piece, they
Yeah.
want to participate, and it's really crappy that their first experience is like they're going to spend $700 to buy zero point 0.5 ETH and walk away with 0.3 ETH and nothing. And that was their first time to buy
Yeah.
ETH, first time to buy. Like it crushed me. I had a really rough weekend last weekend because of all like the stuff that happened with the gas. And in reality, you're fighting each other. Like we're not jerks on the platform, but I can understand why new people are getting really upset and hurt. And it definitely is proceed with caution. Like this is not uh, Walmart, where everything is like meant to be clean and easy and whatever. Like this is still kind of new technology, and it's but yeah, no, we are trying to do better. That's the future for us right now, is trying to organize ourselves to do better communicating.
Yeah. No, I think those are all great tips, especially for the community members to know, like, think about the CryptoPunks chat. Like, the founders cannot be there every day. Like, there are other people in the community that can answer your questions. And not only that, like, it's valuable to be in those communities and be participating, and then also become one of those people who can answer the question you just asked for the next person that comes in and asks the question. When you start to add value to those communities that you are curious about and passionate about, that gives you something really special in the space, right? And for me, that community very early on was Crypto Voxels, and I was so enthralled in it. And then the same questions I was asking in the beginning, I could help the next people that came into the chat and answer those questions with that. So be a valuable community member if you have the time and you're interested in the project. That goes a long way. And when someone else comes into the space and they know that you've been, like I said, I knew you from the CryptoPunks chat and I knew you were such a valuable person for so long. Like I had the respect for you and I actually, in a weird way, without like personally knowing you, had like trusted you. You know what I mean? So definitely keep doing that. And it's really tough to say, but when the space keeps getting bigger and bigger, you really just can't, as when you create a project, you really can't get to every DM, and it does suck. But that I think is great um, advice. Crypto Novo said, "I just want to read if there. Oh, and yes, if you guys do have any questions, definitely feel free to ask them here because I do want to make sure I'm not keeping you too long. I know you don't have many hours in the day,
Yeah.
so we'll answer some of the last questions. Two huge Crypto Novo 311. Two huge problems I found with NFTs. First, you can't just own one. So true. Second, seller's remorse. Anything you regret selling. There's probably a long
Every
list.
single zombie I've ever sold, I regret selling them more than I regret burning one, and that was a total accident.
Yeah.
Uh, Last year, my wife and I, we bought a piece of land in West Texas, and we bought it with the idea that we would build something on there 5 years later. And COVID hit, and we're like, oh my god, we could just be out there instead of in the middle of here. And all of a sudden, like, it escalated that we wanted to do something, and I sold 5 zombies to build a container house that we had built in Austin and shipped out to Marfa. And it was the first time I sold something without the regrets. Like, obviously, like, again, for the developers, it was worth it. Like, if you're going to sell your NFTs, to flip them, which is, again, that's fine. Like, that's what, I feel like if I sold NFTs to flip them, I would have massive regrets. And so the only thing that I can feel decent about is that when I have finally succumbed to either some real world desire or it literally has been, at least I have something to show for the sale.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'm not interested in selling. Like, my attribute collection will hopefully be passed along to, like, my kids and their kids and their kids, and end up one day in some kind of museum. Like, I see nothing less than an autoglyph collection and a punk collection. I do think, not to cause hype, like, I really do think, like, having a full collection of art blocks is something that's going to be really like a really cool thing to have, dedicate exhibitions to. And I really think that the institutional space is going to look in and be like, well, man, I think this is actually a really compelling reason to kind of dive into this otherwise dirty feeling, money laundering, drug buying, space. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm with you on that, and I definitely agree. Like when people, if you need the not just if you need it, but if you want to take a gain, take the gain and don't look back. Like I
Yeah.
remember, I will never forget. It touched me. I will never forget when someone tweeted one of my first NFT I gave for free with buying the print. And when she tweeted that she had a leaking roof and she has, a family, and she said I was able to sell this NFT I got for free and I repaired my roof. And I was like,
Yeah.
that is one of the coolest things I've ever heard, and I'm so beyond happy. And later on she was like, "Oh, I wish I didn't sell it." And I was like, "Don't ever feel like that because like at the time in life, like hindsight's 2020, like when you are able to take a gain and like you said you have this land that you put the house on, or like someone fixes their roof, or you whatever it is, like that is okay, and that's actually a good thing to do because in the next bear cycle you're going to be wishing that you took
Absolutely.
something at
Oh,
some
yeah.
point. um okay, let's see if there's any oh, and also Lander said, Snow, you took time to help me with the noob wallet issues when I was new. That was a year ago or so now. You helped the noobs even way back then. So true.
I
Um,
enjoy talking to noobs. I feel like it's either me getting to kind of ease into this and warn them about scammers, or it's potentially other really bad scenarios. So I encourage anybody, and this space is growing, I encourage you guys to embrace the new people in this space. And like you said, Josie, like answering questions for people feels good. It really does. It
Yeah.
makes you feel like you belong to the community. And you can save someone from a lot of like sadness. Like I can't tell you how many people that's like they install MetaMask so I can send them something like a squiggle, and I'm like, you need to put that address in your safe, not because
Yeah.
of the squiggle, but because in a couple years you'll be using that MetaMask
Yep.
address like every single day, and one day your laptop gets stolen and that's it, like it's
Or
gone.
breaks. Like
Yeah.
I lost all my crypto kitties that way because I was
No.
breeding them when they first launched, and I was like, we were all in the house that I lived in. I lived with my boyfriend, and then he had 3 guy roommates, and we were all breeding kitties with each other and would like send them to each other at dinner and like do whatever. And I lost
Amazing.
that wallet, and it was so
Yeah.
sad.
Yeah.
Well, my computer broke, and I didn't have it saved because I didn't think it would be something I
Yeah.
needed to. So, let's see. Were there any other questions that I'm missing? Someone did ask, and I don't know if you can answer this just a high level. What programs do you use when creating? I'm interested in creating my own generative art. Someone did respond that you need to write it in JS for now. Um,
Yeah, I mean, JavaScript is the base operation for the platform. Like as long as it runs in a browser, it runs on Artblocks. But learning pure JavaScript is a totally different experience than, for example, learning on a platform that was built for people to learn creative coding. So there's a platform called Processing, which has been adapted for the browser in a platform called P5JS. And P5JS teaches you like their website and from the ground up that entire organization is literally, I think, majorly responsible for the success of the of the creative coder movement that we're kind of experiencing now, because they enabled people to learn to code that might not have had the opportunity to do it. But yeah, P5JS I would encourage as the first step for anybody, because I feel like while it would be very helpful to know JavaScript, I was programming in P5JS before I actually learned JavaScript. Like I didn't even understand. This is how much of a noob I am at developing, that I didn't even understand that when I was writing P5JS, I was actually writing JavaScript code. Um, and so obviously now that I learned JavaScript, P5JS feels so easy and so like intuitive, but back then it didn't. But yeah, I would encourage you to start with P5JS. The community is amazing. There's a lot of really great websites like Open Processing where you can just run your scripts live and share them with people. It's a really great way to start.
okay, that's a good tip. I want to be respectful of time as well. I don't think there's any other questions that I didn't answer. If there was a burning question that you have to ask, put it here, and I'm going to start asking the ending questions, and then I'll ask them after if there was something. So definitely repeat it if I missed anything. Also, like this video and subscribe to my channel too, because I do this every single week with a new guest, which is pretty freaking awesome. That
Yeah, your
um,
collection of guests is like, whoa.
I love it though. It's so cool. I mean,
Great.
it's hard to find the time, and like as you know, being a guest, like really I do no planning for it, and it's like, hey, here's the link 10 minutes before we go live, like let's hop on. But it's the only way that I can get it done, knowing like I don't have to think about the stream besides my tweet, and once I go on it, and then like that's it, and we're live, so there's no editing. So it gives me the whatever to be able to do it, knowing that that is the commitment.
Do you think that like in 10 years, like I think that you might be creating a history lesson, like in if we are all in this space because we believe in it, not just
Right.
because we want to make a bunch of money, and great if you're making money, but like if we really do are nerding out about like the future operating on what we're talking about, then
Less
what you're
than 10
doing
years, I
then what
think.
you're doing is literally creating like you know the beginning. And I think what you're doing is amazing, and
I
I hope you
mean,
keep it up. I'm sure it's hard to do it, and but I look back at being able to see like however many videos it's going to be in maybe 5 years if you keep it up, and being like, man, like that's the history of crypto art like evolving from the beginning. I think
thank
it's
you.
epic.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I mean, I guess not from the beginning, because I think I'm on, what is this, episode 48? I think. You're my
That's so
48th
wild.
guest.
Yeah.
Um, but it is really cool because even I think it'll be a lot shorter than 10 years, but thinking about guests that I had on really not even that long ago, like I had on Beeple, who is brand new to NFTs and crypto art, if I need to remind anyone, like very brand new, and he will say that as well. Like I had him on before he did any of his drops, or maybe he had just done his $1 drop, but like not before he made the millions basically from NFTs. And now I just think like, holy shit, he was not on my show that long ago, and now he's becoming one of like the most well-paid living artists to live.
All
So
time. Yeah.
it's it's
Crazy.
so crazy to look at, but it also at the same time, which is interesting to see, you know, people that I've interviewed in the past, like who will be here in the next few years and who won't be, and the people who will be, like looking back on their stories and like how they started and where they were, you know, this past year is going to be really cool. I hope to look back on. I'll
I'm
skip all
excited.
the parts when I talk, but I'll just listen to their parts of it.
It's cool.
Okay, cool. Let's do some of the closing questions. And thank you guys. These are all, you guys are too awesome. This has been such an awesome active chat, and I love that. But okay, some of the closing questions. What is your favorite item that you've purchased this year? It can be anything.
Uh, well, man, that's weird. Like my whole life revolves around NFTs, so like I'm having a hard time picturing something that's not NFT related. Um, I would say probably my favorite real item, which I haven't received yet, is I've finally gotten to a point in my life where I can afford real pieces of art that like aren't just NFTs, and I
Mm-hmm.
made a really big decision to like take a serious amount of ETH and convert it into dollars to purchase real historical art pieces. And I've I've purchased a piece from a crypto artist. I mean, a creative coder who's in her 80s, I believe, maybe 90s,
Wow.
Kara Molnar, who, and it's a piece she made in 1974, and it's
Wow.
just this, it's just, and I don't know when I'm gonna get it. Like, you know, it's like it has to be shipped over from Switzerland, and
That's
but
so
yeah, like I think
cool.
that's probably like my favorite thing that I've bought.
That's a great answer. I
Also, I
mean,
got one of those new Oral-B toothbrushes, but not like the ones that feel like they're disposable, but like the ones that's
yeah,
like a little step up from that. And I feel
yeah.
like that's changed my life in a big way. But yeah,
That's a good. Those are both good answers. I remember when I made the switch to electric toothbrush. That was
yeah.
a good moment. I yeah, my favorite thing that I purchased this year is like this. I always say it. I'm surprised I don't have it right now. This water bottle that like has your whole full water intake for the day because I never drink enough
Oh,
water, and it like tells you
nice.
like what time you should have like drank that much water by. It's
Genius.
pretty cool. It's from Amazon. I should get like a referral link for
Yeah,
that.
you should.
If you could instantly become an expert in something, what would it be?
Um, there's some crazy debate lately, and I feel like there's a lot of people that are acting really strongly, maybe not as experts, and there's a lot of experts too. But I would like to be an expert in the ecological impacts that NFTs are creating for our planet. Like
Mm,
like we all are all aware of what's happening, and we are contributing in a negative way to our world. And I feel like I've learned a lot, and I feel like I've gotten into like active discussions with people that are probably pretty well versed. But I feel that there's a lot of heat there, and I wish that I was an expert. Like, I mean, I wish that I was as much of an expert at that as I am as an expert in NFTs.
mm.
And then I also wish that I was having conversations with people that were that same level of expertise, so that we could really kind of get to the root of this, because it's something that weighs on me big time. It it should weigh on everybody, whether they think that they're contributing or not, even if it's a small amount. Like we should be thinking about it and thinking about ways to kind of mitigate it, and ways that we can help the community, whether it's with, you know, and ecological initiatives or even community initiatives. Like, we should be giving back as a community in the NFT space. There's a lot of money going through this space, and yeah, I would love to be a 100% expert in climate change, and mainly so I can kind of have a real conversation about it, and not just like some of the stuff that's been going on lately.
Yeah. No, that's a great point. And I will just echo you on that. Like, at the time, and not everyone, of course, can, but when people are making large gains and everything like this is the time where you really should be, especially right now in a pandemic, like supporting charities and organizations that you care for if you can, of course. Like, it's a tough time for many people everywhere, but I 100% agree. When we are like selling art or trading Topshot packs or whatever it is, and there's a way that you can give back, especially for things that you're passionate about, like, do that. And take something, you know, take a gain, but also do that. It's also in many cases tax deductible, so it's, you can be a little selfish with it too. It's the Go ahead.
Something I would say there too, it's that, like, you might have to beg an organization that you believe in
Yep.
to give you an ETH address, and it's tough. They might have a board of directors that has to approve it, and it doesn't cost anybody any money. It might make some people uncomfortable, but part of the problem with being able to do charitable contributions in the NFT space is that, you know, because of Uncle Sam, like, we have a very serious taxable situation that happens when you take money out, and obviously it's taxable whether you give it away or whether you turn it into dollars, but the ability to be able to donate in ETH, and potentially for a smart contract to create a donation for you. So, like, for example, with Artblocks, we set 500 squiggle mints went directly to the processing foundation, but like the processing foundation didn't have an ETH address, right? So it took 3 weeks for them to like come around and give me this ETH address, and as a result, I was able to essentially donate $20,000 to them without actually ever being in control of the ETH. And so I probably won't even get it as a taxable tax exemption, and I could care less at this point. But like, the fact that it just happened automatically makes it so much easier to give, and it makes it so much easier for us to process it in this space. So I would beg people that are involved in charitable and social like initiatives to at least start the conversation with those charities about procuring an ETH address. Because to me, that's one of the biggest barriers to being able to like actually contribute. That and the fact that there are really nice websites that have a bunch of communities that are willing to accept ETH, but like, I don't know them, I don't recognize them. So like, if Houston Search, which is like an organization here for the homeless, which I've grown up hearing about as like, you know, being a major component in Houston for homelessness, had an ETH address, instantly I would start contributing to that, right? Because I know who they are. One of the things that I'm going to do in the next couple of weeks is I'm going to start making phone calls or video calls with some of these charitable organizations, just to put a face to people. Like, I just have this impression it's some dude with like a big cigar on it. Sucker. You know, so like, you know, I want to know that these are real people, and I want to compile my own list of people that I trust and be able to contribute to. But there's such an opportunity here for everybody, and to do so much good, and it'd be nice to see more people do that.
I totally agree. I kid you not, I have left 6 voicemails for this charity that I really, normally I cash out and then I donate that way. And I mean, but I try to pretend, like, I literally pretend I never got the money in the first place, but it's like it's a cool thing that I never thought I'd be able to do. But I've literally been, I want to donate to ETH directly to this organization that helped me a lot as a kid, and I've left 6 voicemails for their organizer for their charitable donations. And I'm like, does she? And I told her, like, I've used your services as a kid, like, blah blah blah, and all this stuff, and like, I've gotten no calls back, and I'm like, okay, I am just gonna start, like, I've Instagram DM'd them, I've Twitter DM'd them, and I am like, I am on a mission to be able to get them to accept it, but it's hard to do in some cases because they are so busy.
It's intimidating, for sure, you know. But I mean, I one thing when we talk about, like, you know, potential governance for platforms. Like I don't think Artblocks is ready for like someone to tell, like a community to tell me how to like run Artblocks. So I'm not interested in a governance token for Artblocks, but I'm very interested in a governance like scenario. Maybe Squiggle DAO will be the one that decides like who Artblocks donates to, because Artblocks is generating secondary market royalties for everything that sells, with the intention of a large chunk of that going towards charity. And
That's
when we
huge.
decided to do that, we were talking like maybe it'd be like $1,000 a month, but secondary market royalties in the last 2 weeks for Artblocks is more than my normal company generates in profits in a year.
Wow.
And so it literally, there's money there to be, you know, so like we will, in the next couple of weeks, we're closing deals on, I think we're at 10,000 tons of carbon offset credits, which to the haters out there, like at least it's something. Like I'm not saying that's a solution, but like it's something. It's a step in the right direction. And we're interviewing charities to be able to kind of like, but like I don't want to be the one that decides what charities. I don't know all the good charities. We all have charities in our hometowns, and we are in a very international community. So things like the Squiggle DAO might be helping us decide like which charities we donate to.
That's so cool.
The fact that we can do that in a decentralized way, I think is pretty massive. So
That's
get your charities to give you ETH addresses
now
before it's too late. Like right now is the time to do it.
That's awesome. Okay, last 2 questions. What would be the most surprising scientific discovery imaginable? It's a hard one for people.
Yeah, I don't know. I've always had this weird thought where our galaxy and our universe is just like the atoms of another human being. Like if you scale down to like a human's like anatomy, and you're down to like new atoms and whatever, and it's like I just have this weird thought that one day we're gonna find out that all of us are on one atom in like the arm of a being that is a whole galaxy besides that.
That'd be I like that.
But it's probably not the case, and I'm sure that we're just planets out in the solar system.
Who knows? That's a really cool one. I like that. Okay, last question. Would you want to live forever?
Yes, absolutely.
Right.
No doubt about it.
Wow, no hesitation.
Yeah.
And I always say you can keep your health. You can keep your health.
Yeah, I want to see, even if I'm a head in a glass jar, like in Futurama. Yeah, I mean, I don't care. I want to see what happens. I can't stand when the movie ends and you don't know what happens at the end. Like I will never be bored watching humanity be humanity. What about you? Curious.
Yeah. I mean, my husband and I actually talk about it all the time, and we joke we're going to upload our brains to the internet. So, I find it super interesting. I want to do more research, like actually on it. I did a lot of, not enough, but I did some reading when I was doing a lot of research on Hal Finney, and he decided to, when he was losing all of his motor functions and everything like that, to do cryogenically freeze himself. So I think that like I went down a rabbit hole when I was reading about that, and even just hearing the way he thought about life and like why that was the right decision for him and for his family and everything. And it just fascinates me so much, and it makes me so interested to see what the technology is going to advance to and look like as we get older, because I'm still pretty young and hopefully have a lot of years left in me. But no, I would absolutely want to. I think it's, yes for me. There's a lot of people, actually, more people say no than I thought on the show.
I'd say most people I know in real life probably say no. And that's okay too. Like that's kind of cool too. It's like you keep it all in one capsule and enjoy it the best that you can. But
I want to. Okay, this was so awesome. This was like, I feel like every part of this stream, like I've just thoroughly enjoyed. Like you are such a genuine, awesome guy, and I know I've said this like 4 times, but I truly think I've known this about you, and now like really getting to chat with you for the first time, like in depth, like you are here for the right reasons, and like you live and breathe like the right ethos in the space, and what you're building and what you've done so far, like you're not going anywhere. And I know that, which is really, really exciting to see. And I'm more and more excited to like hear all these different things going on in your head. And not only that, I know that you're going to act on them. And if there's something that you're not sure how to do and you want to do it, you're going to fucking teach yourself how to do it, which is so cool. And I just appreciate that and really value what you're bringing to the community. So thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you for doing what you're doing. I mean, we need more of this kind of exposure, just like seeing who the people are that are busting their butts to do this. And you know, I'll take a moment to say thank you to my dear wife, who's in another room, probably like maybe still rolling her eyes a little bit, but maybe not as much as she has over the last 4 years. She's been so supportive. My friends and my family, and then in the crypto space, just like there's 5 or 6 people that I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for them. So you know, there's a massive community here. It's like I feel like I spend more time in the crypto space in Discord than I do with my best friends in real life, and it's crushing. But like it's better than not getting to spend time with people. And so you know, it's been really amazing. The last 4 years of my life have just been totally amazing. And this is a major part of it.
That's awesome. Well, I can't wait to just keep up with you and everything you have going on. Also, everyone in the chat, like, huge thank you for being so active and being so awesome here. I'm sure you're all following Snowfro already, but I have his links for his Twitter and Artblocks and everything in the description of the YouTube box. So definitely follow him. Keep up to date. Join his Discord. Do not DM him anything. He has enough DMs. Join his Discord, talk to the community, get involved, and see all the next drops there. You guys rock, and I will see you next week and the week after and the week after and the week after for all the
Keep
next
it
shows.
going.
Yep. All right. Well, thank you. Thank you again. And I will sign off here.
Thank you so much for having me.
Of course.
Take
All right.
care.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Okay, wait. Don't leave.